So, Benny, let's start with a topic that you mightn't be so happy about. But
Might have to do some breath work after this.
we're going to do some a little bit later. I've
Yeah,
had some
okay.
people reaching out, so we're going to drop in another technique today. But we'll do that later. Mate, unfortunately, you got knocked out. You got rolled last week, and you're out of the playoffs. What happened?
Yeah, we end up finishing 5th, and we played against Sunshine Coast Falcons. They finished 8th. They came to our home and were pretty dominant. Look, they played a lot of their sort of Storm players from their top 30.
Yeah.
And they really put in a good performance. We just couldn't go with them in the first half, and they sort of blew us off the park, 36-6 at halftime. But we come back at them, and we got within a try, but there just wasn't enough time, to be honest. We ran out as we were attacking their line. But it was funny, though, because there were some players in there that were very, very dominant. Guys like Sua Fa'alongo, Wishart, Olam, Jack Howarth. Anyway, so, I sort of coached against them, lost the game, and then 7 days later, I'm with you calling the game for Triple M at Suncorp Stadium and watching them all play again.
Yeah.
And just watching it all happen again. Yeah. Fa'alongo taking the ball, making a break, running 60 to score. Wishart getting out at dummy half, showing and going, splitting the markers, going through the middle, draw the fullback. Yeah. And it was hard to watch.
I was watching that game the other night when we were calling. I'm thinking, why are these guys in reserve grade?
Oh,
like, why are these guys not playing at NRL level? And then last night I called the Tigers and the Manly game, and I'm thinking, well, there was 21 players missing from that game on Thursday night, and I reckon both of those teams would have comfortably beaten the Tigers if they played them. So what is it about? Is it the system that makes the player? Is it the player that makes the system?
It's the system that makes the player.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of those guys that are in that Melbourne Storm setup, a lot of them have been to other clubs and been sort of called reserve graders. Played in that grade and never felt like they were improving. And then they go to the Melbourne Storm, and they still play that similar role. But whenever they get that opportunity to go up, they can do the job, and they're playing some of their best footy at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part that Melbourne does well. And then I think if you were to let those players go and they sign to go to other clubs,
you pull them out of that system.
I don't know if they're still the same players.
Yeah, but they would have developed while in the system.
Well, you'd hope, yeah.
But this is the thing. You look at a guy like Tristan Saylor. He's been exceptional. He's played half a dozen games this year in first grade. Obviously, Reece Walsh is there. Selwyn Cobbo's there. Yeah. So he's probably third in line for that role. Yeah. And we saw him at the Dragons, and he's come a long way since then. He's put on a lot of meat on the bone. But you put him in a side like the Tigers, or you look at a guy like Jareen Buller, who's exceptional talent that just looked broken the other night on the back of what's been his initial season in the NRL. We know how hard that is.
Yeah.
And when you pull him out of that system, is Tristan a guy? Is he ready at this stage of his career to take on a role as the main fullback at a club that's not doing so well?
Well, what I saw from him, the other night, I'd say yes.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got that experience. He's got, he's done it the hard way. He went back to South Logan. He came through, earned the training trial, smashed the preseason, but now he's showing like he's a complete player.
Yeah.
We just spoke about it on the call. His running game, his passing game, his kicking game, he's got it all. And I think it would be a shame to see Tristan Saylor just sitting in Queensland Cup for most of 2024.
Yeah.
And that's the same for a lot of these players. Even Fa'alongo, like to see him just playing Queensland Cup would be quite sad. There's a lot of talent out there, but a lot of the good teams are stockpiling it too.
What do they do with him now? He's come out and shown us what he can do, and then he's still got Pappenhausen and Meaney in front of him. Does he skip Meaney at some point?
I think he'll skip Meaney, at some point. I think he's an out-and-out fullback. Maybe he can end up in that 14 jersey.
Yeah,
he's a young man with a big future. Sometimes that's where you have to find another spot for a Nick Meaney.
Well, also with Pappenhausen having the injuries that he's had over the last couple of years, you need someone ready to go at a level that's going to be consistently that consistently make a difference in first grade.
That would have been a tough game to call. Manly Tigers.
Yeah, oh yeah, it was. It was hard.
I felt for you.
It was hard. I'm sure you did. Yeah, it was just Andy Raymond and I, and it was a long night. It actually started out, and I was really excited because I went into it knowing that it was going to be Jake Trebojevich's 200th game, and know how emotional he gets, and it was going to be a real focus on him. And there was a big crowd there, and the Tigers put up resistance, I reckon, for about I think Manly scored after 3 or 4 minutes, and I thought, this could be anything, and then they found a way back into it, and then the floodgates opened. Yeah. And then it got a little bit ridiculous where guys were standing over the line, passing back to players. And I got the Jerry Evans to Jake one. I understood that one, but then I think Saab did it to Gordy.
Yeah, he did.
And he's played a couple of games now. So, it just got a little bit embarrassing for the Tigers, to be honest. It was rubbing salt into the wound. But your boys, Mad Monday, what's Mad Monday like these days? Because it's, I can tell you some stories about what it was like back in the day, and yours as well. But what is it like these days?
I think it's a lot more reserved these days. Yeah, the players went to the club. I think they were in the sports bar drinking, and then they ended up in the sheds. I think in the sheds you can just lock yourself in there and not get in too much trouble.
Yeah, you can't break too many things.
Yeah, you can break a couple of massage tables and a few lockers and things like that.
That's it.
Shower heads, but I think they're going to do something the following week. Maybe I think they're going to go to the game this weekend, so that might be the extent of it. But it's not what it used to be. When I first started, the whole thing was, I was like, oh, what's Mad Monday about? And they pretty much said, no matter where you get knocked out, you got to drink till Monday. Like Monday's the big day. So my first ever Mad Monday was at West Tigers. I think we got knocked out on Friday night.
Yeah.
And so drunk Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday day, Sunday night, Monday day. Yeah. And it pretty much finished up with Garlo's Pies down in Coogee. That was, finished up there and waking up in a random house in Coogee on a mattress in a living room. Wow. And I was vomiting just bright green.
Yeah. Doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, and I was like, what's going on? And I just looked and I realised that I'd grabbed some cordial concentrate and I'd been drinking that before I went to bed. So, it was just not great.
Some fond memories.
Yeah, and probably $100 worth of coins in my pocket. Pockets were so heavy.
And how you got those, no one will ever know. As long as you were walking okay, brother, that's the main thing. Yeah, no, they're the guys don't know what they're missing out on these days, do they?
It was a bit over the top, though.
It's always over the top, isn't it?
Well, what was were you doing that? Were you trying to go to Monday?
Yeah, not specifically. I think it was just about, being together as a group, getting a bus. We'd always sort of have a team bus. And then that bus would then just take us basically to every pub in the area until basically the person that was, managing the pub at the time would ask you to move along. And then you would go to the next place, and then you would sort of get moved along quicker from every time. Every different place you went to.
Everyone's ordering beers, their first beer and getting moved on.
And there's blokes sort of wrestling. And generally, the good thing about the Monday is that there's not a lot of people around in the pubs of a day and stuff. So weekends, it gets a little bit crazy and it's a bit harder to navigate those. So we used to always kind of wait until the Monday because then you knew you had a bit of a clear run because you're just aware of what's going to go on.
Yeah.
It's silly. I remember my first one, I was just 18. And down at playing for the Steelers, and I was 18, but I looked 15, and there was a couple of older guys, Michael Carberry and Chris Walsh, they're kind of like the leaders in the club and the front rows playing first grade, and I'd played a handful of games that year, but I'd earned the right to go on their Bad Monday, which I was pretty excited about as a kid. And every time we went to a pub, they sat me out the front. They wouldn't let me come in. They sat me out the front and they brought me like a fire engine, like a raspberry lemonade, and they filled it half with vodka and a bag of chips, and they made me sit outside with a bag of chips and the raspberry lemonade at every pub, and I was trying to sneak in all the time, and I was they'd lift me up and they'd pull me back out and they'd put me back in my seat, and the whole day I was sitting out there on my own just trying to work out ways to get back in. That was their whole trick. So you got to do your time doing the apprenticeship that way. Yeah.
So there's a few players this week that's really what's been on their mind, isn't it?
Yeah, well, how hard is it at the back end of the season, trying to get motivated and get up
Well,
to finish off the year?
yeah. I mean, when you know you're out of the finals, sort of a couple of weeks out, you're organising holidays, Bali, flights, accommodation. You're doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
The hard one is when you're still in the fight and you're sitting around, like let's say you're the Cowboys, and you're still in the fight. You're still going for it. But I've been in the position where I think it was at the Tigers one year. I think we were sitting around 8th or 9th, and we had played our game, and then we were sitting there. You're watching another team, so you're just thinking, well, if this team wins, we're in, and if this team loses, then we're going to the pub. So you're literally waiting there, and as the half is going, and the team that's meant to win is losing, and that means you're out. Like, guys are just sending around like pictures of like them cracking open beers and stuff like that, and the texts are just saying like, "Where we going? Where we going?" And then it's just like wherever, and then it's just like it's on.
Yeah,
right? It's just quick. So 1 minute you're thinking you're going training, next day, next minute you're going to the pub.
Yeah, I remember. It's always a little bit. There's always that difference between the older guys at the back end of their career sweating on the opportunity, to make the finals, and the young guys that have had enough that just want to go to the pub and go on holidays, and how you split into those couple of groups, and the older guys are like at the back end of the season, scrapping for a bone, and the younger guys are like, are we going to Bali? Where are we going? Bringing their dress up shirts to every session and starting to, really take their foot off the gas with a few games to go if they're. And we spoke about it last week. Like, you kind of know when you're in a side that can get into the finals and have a real shot at a title, and when you're a team that you're making up the numbers. And sometimes you're thinking, okay, it's and I remember we did that one year. It was the late 90s, and we scratched our way into like 7th, and we had to go and play. And this is when I think like one played 8, and two, it was before they broke the system to what it is now. And we had to go to Canberra and play like Laurie and Mal and these guys, and we were never a chance. We were going to beat, it was finals, and we are going to beat by 40 points, and it was like, oh my God, like why couldn't it just ended last week?
Yeah, and like
you go through it.
There's that self preservation at the moment too, isn't there? Like people probably watching games, being like, why aren't these guys, getting their bodies in front? And some of these players are thinking, I'm not too keen on wearing a moon boot in Bali. Like, I just want to get out of here in one piece. I want to go in, get my medical, get ticked off, and I'm going to get to the airport, bro. Like, I'm not trying to be the hero. Like, we're down 36-6. Like, man.
Mate, you're taking all the romance out of it. Huh? Like, what about playing for the jersey and, playing for the fans? What about all that sort of stuff? And that
human
narrative?
Nature kicks in, man.
Yeah, at some point, doesn't it? Well, let's have a chat about another side that's going to be on their Mad Monday after this weekend, the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Been an interesting week over there. What have you made of that?
Look, it's an interesting one. The fact that Serraldo had such big raps on him as a coach. So I was very interested in the Bulldogs setup. So in the preseason, they were doing these like little mini series videos on YouTube, and it was like, behind the scenes of preseason, and you're watching them train and you're watching them do all their team building, and it's quite interesting. Like, you can go watch it now. And I mean, by watching that, you thought, wow, these guys are going to have a great year. There was a lot of emotion. They were doing Polynesian days and bringing the team together. There was guys, leadership chats. It was all romantic and nice. And then you watch the season start, and I sort of watched him at the first 10 rounds. He was quite positive, Serraldo, in his press conferences. They were losing, but he was quite positive. Don't worry, we've got this sorted. And then his demeanor started to change throughout the year. And it's important that, because you never heard a lot of this noise at the start. They were still losing games, but something's changed from then to now. Now, I don't know whether that's his demeanor's changed and maybe they've changed up the training, or is this just players who are off contract kicking up a stink and given a fingers up before
Falling
they go
out of the system.
Yeah, falling out of the system, given the fingers up before they go out the door.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting to hear all these tales of training too hard and training too long. I'd love to see the schedules from round 1 to 10.
Yeah.
Has it changed? So were they always training this hard and now it's an issue? Or has he ramped it up sort of mid-season and that's what's turned the players off? So there's a lot I'm not too sure about. But look, when you got guys complaining about training too hard or training too long, I think you need to move them on real quick. Yeah. Real quick.
Yeah, I agree. If there's guys that have been there and they've been comfortable for a certain amount of time and all of a sudden someone comes in and shakes the place up and they're embedded in the culture and they're connected, they can have a really bad destructive influence on the group, right?
Yeah.
And it's really important that like they haven't seen what success looks like and how hard you need to work to get it there for a long period of time. So you're going to have a new coach that comes in that knows what that looks like, that's got an idea and probably a bit of a time frame of how he thinks he needs to roll that out. But then, as you said, pressure then might just amplify that a little bit or expedite that just a little bit because the results aren't there and he's sort of feeling more pressured at some point. But there's going to be guys there that actually know what that looks like. And there's guys that are just going to know that, okay, well, if you think about Kickow and Burton, they've had success. They know what that looks like. And they've seen the rewards of what that hard work can produce. When you're in a club and you haven't seen the rewards, you haven't won games, you don't know what winning looks like and the experience and how it changes your life, because it does, not just winning the comp. But just on a day-to-day thing, going shopping, being in that community, when you're winning, like you can imagine living in Newcastle at the moment, being part of that. They haven't won the comp, but they've won 8 in a row, and that town is buzzing. And everywhere those guys go, there's people, they're into it, as opposed to going somewhere and feeling like, oh, shit, like we're having a bad year and there's people into me when I go shopping. You ride the wave. And the Bulldogs players probably haven't seen that. They haven't tasted that. But the people that have had success, that have had worked hard and seen what those fruits look like, well, they're probably sitting in that at the moment. But I don't think they've probably got the leadership group there to get people to buy in at this point. Like they've got some good young players that have come through. They've got some guys that have been in other good systems, but they probably haven't got those 1 or 2 senior players that can pull everyone together away from the coaching staff and say, boys, this is just what we need to do. Yeah. They don't have that voice because sometimes that's what it can't come from the coaching staff. That's important, but sometimes it's just got to come from the group. And I just don't see that they have those personnel yet. Reid Marnie's a guy that obviously has tasted a fair bit of success, has a great work ethic. I think he came out through the week and said, I don't think we're training hard enough. That's what he said. So, I just think maybe they haven't got the right people in that organisation yet that are willing to do the work to get the job done when it needs to be done. Yeah, so when I sort of sum it up in my head, I think, I bet you there's no change in their scheduling or their hours. I reckon it's probably been this way the whole year. And guys are just a bit bitter. Maybe they're coming out the back end. But what you said is important too, is like when you haven't seen success. So if you're a Bulldogs player and you've been there for a while and you just haven't seen, you just don't know. Like you just don't know. And everything probably seems a bit over the top for you. He probably came in and the way they did preseason, the way they trained, they're probably thinking, mate, this is over the top. But like you said, he knows what he's talking about. Yeah, he's seen it. The wrestling part, again, don't know the full details just from what you read. But the shark bait, do you know what shark bait is? You told. I didn't, but you told. Yeah, so obviously they talked about a player who was apparently late and he was made to wrestle, the top 30 or something like that, which is crazy. But anyway. Yeah, we call it, we do it all the time. Every club does it. We call it shark bait or feed them to the lions, whatever you want to call it, where one player gets in the middle, he's got to wrestle a player, then wrestle the next one, and it gets to the point where, and the drill's designed for this, it gets to the point where you're so exhausted that you just can't win. You're just getting beat, you're getting thrown around. And then Andrew Simons used to come in, right? Yeah, and then Andrew Simons would come and dominate me. Yeah, let's not talk about that. But
that's the whole point of the drill. The drill is to sort of break someone down, get them in that vulnerable point. But then what's important to go with that is encouragement. So I do it with my team, and I've been in a lot of places where they do. When a guy's in that environment, he should then be encouraged. You're doing great. Hang in there, brother. Keep going. All right, he loses one. Get up. You got this. Yeah, that's the type of environment. You're breaking them down to build them back up. Yeah. But if you're doing that as a punishment, well, whoa, that's not really. I don't see the benefit of that.
Okay.
Because if someone is about to start the drill and he's late and now this drill's about humiliation, well, I don't think you're going to get much out of that drill. And I don't think that would be setting the right tone culturally for a club. So I'm not sure if that's the case of what happened, or if guys had done that before, if guys have had to wrestle 30 guys all year when they were late or something.
It's always been part of.
Yeah, I know. There's been parts of
system.
it. Yeah. I just think maybe, like if a guy was late and he was disputing whether he was late or not, maybe there's technicality.
Yeah.
And then he's been told, no, you got to get down there and wrestle the boys.
Yeah.
He's probably not in the right mindset there to do that. And if you were to make him go run, like if you said, all right, mate, you got to go on the roll, or you got to run 40 laps of the field, I'm sure you'd probably rather do that than be literally broken down by the team and fight and humiliated that way. That's my thing. But I used to be that guy that would probably miss the time, and then everyone have to go again.
Everyone would be punished. Like, and you felt awful, didn't you?
Oh,
it was horrible.
Yeah, especially when you're like 19 years old and you're doing your first NRL preseason and you're doing these running drills. And you're missing the time. Everyone's making the time, but you're missing it. Yeah. I mean, just that sick gut feeling of everyone going, fucking Te'o,
and it's awful.
It's the worst thing, and it just makes you think, I've got to get fitter.
Yeah,
like, I can't be doing this to my team all the time.
It works, doesn't it?
We used to at South do this one where if someone was late or if someone screwed up, we'd have either a recovery session at 4 a.m. down at the beach, so you'd have to go stand in the water for 20 minutes up to your waist at 4 a.m. So just the whole squad, just freezing, standing there with towels. Or we'd have to do a 5 or 4 a.m. boxing session on the field. Yeah. So if you were the one that screwed up and the whole team had to come in at 4 a.m. When they're walking in at 10 to 4, some of the stares you're getting off guys is you let them down and you ruin their sleeping.
Yeah, we did a thing back in the day where we had to run 2300s in a certain time. So 300 would be like, so from one corner post directly along the side of the field to the other corner post, down to the along the try line, then back there. It works out to be 300 metres almost. And then within the minute, you would then have to sort of walk. You would have that sort of 50, 60 metres or whatever it is across the field to walk back before you start again. And we did it 20 times, and they said, this is a pre-season. They said, we do it 20 times, but anyone that doesn't make it in that minute, then we add them on. So we did 20, but there was always going to be more done with penalties. And we ended up getting to about 30, and there were some big guys there that are 115 kilos. And they just physically couldn't do it anymore. They were done. Yeah. And it got to the point where the head trainer just had to say, well, I can't keep making the same guys do it. And these guys and we had to stop doing it. But we ended up doing 30 300s on the minute. Wow. It was torture. And it was in like, when was it? December, maybe January?
Yeah.
So it was hot.
Yeah.
So, sometimes, those sorts of things are just about, breaking you down, brother. That's what it is. Some of that stuff, is just breaking you down and creating change.
Yeah, I've seen it so many times in different environments of guys being broken down as punishments or the whole team's being broken down for punishments. But I think this one, obviously, it's really affected this player.
Yeah,
he's had to take some time away from the game, so that's an issue for the Bulldogs to have to sort out now.
So, Dan, is there any questions?
Yes, there is. Thank you for asking, Gertz.
Firstly, can we just talk about our bladders? I mean, mate, how old are you again?
36.
How weak is your bladder? You're like an old man. Yeah, I mean, I am an old man, but, I mean, you're beating me into the bathroom.
I know. Something's wrong.
Something's wrong. We need to work on that. Anyway,
What
do you got, Dan?
So, shout out to Benny for jumping on the tools and asking the community for some questions.
Do you know how many
You
takes
lit it
that
up.
took?
One.
No,
Mate.
no. Like, you know, when very rarely do I video myself like talking to my phone.
You look pretty serious.
So, like, it started off. I was at home doing it, and I was like, okay, I'm not doing it in the house because maybe my missus will be like, no, don't do it in the house, like, you know. So anyway, so I went out on the deck. And I was doing it there, and then I was like trying to get the blue sky, and I was messing up. I was messing it up, and then I realized that I was talking like super loud, and our neighbors are very close, and I was doing take after take after take, and I'm like, okay, my neighbors think I'm a loser at the moment, like, so I'm gonna go inside, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get in my car, and I'm gonna drive somewhere and do it, and that's what I did. I got in the car, so. That's where I do my best
And when
work.
did you make the decision to intimidate our listeners into asking us a question? Because it was like, ask me a question.
Well,
but they responded, right?
Yeah, we got more questions than ever, right?
Record numbers.
Yeah.
So
Record numbers.
the
Okay.
sixth take did it.
Okay.
Maybe 12 takes, but
Okay.
my neighbours thought I was auditioning for a TV show or something.
From JJ Nolan, being stuck in life, the pressures of not being where you want to be. So they're just wanting to discuss that, I guess.
I find when I find myself heading down a path where I feel like I need like correction, like I bring discipline and routine into my life. I don't know how you are about that, but I find like through discipline it allows me like freedom and creativity. And that kind of sounds almost counterintuitive, right? But for me, like when I wake up in the morning, like I go through like a certain routine every day. Yeah. And so it's the same thing. I wake up, I have like about 400 mils of warm water with lemon squeezed in it. Then I have like celery juice, about 400 mils of celery juice. So celery juice has been brilliant for me. I spoke about it in one of the early episodes. But for anyone with heartburn or indigestion or digestive problems, it's just unbelievable. Like, so if you're out there and, you know, you have trouble when you drink a glass of wine or, you know, you get any of that sort of reflux with spicy food or whatever it may be, it takes a little bit of time. So it's a little bit of a process with celery juice because you need to get the celery, you need to, you know, put it in a juicer. Doesn't taste real good. You need to make it so it's probably about 300 or 400 mils. But it alkalines the system, and eventually, like those people that are on Nexium and any of that sort of stuff that's been, you know, prescribed by doctors or whatever. I'm not a doctor, by the way, but I'm happy to say that I was on 40 mils of Nexium when I first retired. I went to the doctor because, you know, we're taking anti-inflammatories all the time, right? And he said, oh, mate, you're just going to need these. I said, what's this for? He goes, oh, it's Nexium. I said, what does that do? He said, oh, it just allows you to have like a normal life. And I said, yeah, but how long do I need to take them for? He said, forever. But he said, that's okay because I take it and everyone takes it forever. I'm like, mate, I don't want to take that shit forever. Isn't there some things I can do? And he's like, no, mate, you just take it forever. And that's the way, unfortunately, that's the way these days in the medical industry. So you always need to look outside those parameters. And so I did that, and I found a guy called the Medical Medium who's just absolutely crazy, and I love that. He's mad. But he's got all these different techniques of actually, you know, healing yourself without medication, but with like natural resources. And celery is one of those. So if you've got any of those problems, I highly suggest and recommend that you get in to the daily habit of going through that process. And again, it comes back to discipline and routine of doing that for yourself and for family.
So every morning.
Every morning. I'll probably do it now. I've probably been doing that for 5 years. Now we probably do it about 4 because I don't have, like after about 3 months, it was totally, I went from taking 40 milligrams of Nexium every day to after about a month back to 20. Then after about, 6 weeks, 2 months, like 120 milligram every 3 or 4 days. And I haven't had a Nexium now for about 4-5 years,
Mm.
and I don't have any problems at all. So I probably drop back a little bit to 3 or 4 days a week. And yeah, it's totally solved the problem. But again, it's like it's effort, it's discipline, it's commitment. And then I have my mushrooms, which I stir into like 200 mils of hot water. I lion's mane, which is really good for the functions of the brain. It mightn't come across that way, but I do take it. And then I fast. I don't eat, so I'll eat. The last meal I'll eat will be about 6 or 7 o'clock, 6 or 7 p.m.
Yeah.
And then I won't probably eat until 10:30, 11 o'clock the next day, because I actually enjoy the feeling of being hungry, because I think a lot of people, like, as soon as they feel a little bit hungry, they always feel like they need to put something in their mouth. I actually like to feel into that, what that feels like within the body.
Yeah.
And I actually can feel that and there's a lot of scientific things that you can look into about fasting and what that's going to mean for you. But I actually like the feeling of how the body reacts to the sensation of hunger.
Are you eating twice a day? Just 2 meals, roughly? If you were to eat at 10:30, or 11 a.m., are you then eating at 7?
I don't have any rules.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the good thing about it. And that's what I meant. With the discipline and the routine, it allows the freedom.
Yeah.
So if I'm with the kids and we go out and we're eating an ice cream, or it doesn't matter, because I've done the work in the morning to put myself in a position where I can just then allow whatever to come in.
Yeah.
Because I think, same as with training, any of those sort of programs, the best ones that you can do are the ones that you can consistently do. Like if you plan to go to the gym and do yoga and do all this and put all this pressure on yourself to have this crazy routine, well, it's probably unrealistic that you're going to maintain that over a long period of time. Yeah. So I always say, like with training programs or whatever, the best ones to do or the best ones to program in are the ones that you're actually going to feel like that you can do. So don't put too much pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff.
Yeah.
How do you have any sort of routines that you like to go through of a day?
Well, I've been starting to do a little bit of fasting. So I've been getting up in the morning and getting off for a bit of a walk, fat burner walk, go 45, 50 minutes around the block, maybe listen to a podcast or just listen to nothing, just walk. And then I'll be trying to delay that first meal to sort of more, like you said, around that 10:30, 11, but trying to have a big meal there and then trying to almost have it last till dinner. I've been trying to have less meals because maybe just on the go, snacking and stuff like that. So that's something I've been trying to do. But the question was also about where you...
So being stuck in life, the pressures of not being where you want to be.
So that's a good one, because I'm living in that right now, because we've talked about before when you leave football and you leave that routine and, it was everything that you wanted to do as a kid. It was your dream. It pays well. It's got all these good things about it. And then when you get spat out, or you leave, you're then starting again. So for me, I'm starting from the bottom ranks of coaching. I'm starting, in media. I started off just calling a couple of games, then got invited to a few more. So I'm working my way through the, Triple M and radio scene. So for me, if you ask me career-wise, am I where I want to be? No. But I have started, though. That's the main thing for me. So I realized when I finished, I was like, I love coaching, got a real kick out of it, and I really enjoy radio. All right, let's figure out a way to get in these things and start chipping away. And every time I do it, I'm learning and trying to get better. So I think sometimes we're looking too far ahead about where we want to be and not where we are, and probably not acknowledging sometimes the progress that we are making. I shared with you a quote from Rick Rubin which I heard the other day, and he said, don't sort of talk about, what you can't do. You sort of say, I haven't done it yet. I haven't done it yet. So always with that mindset that you're progressing to something and that you're going to figure it out. You just keep going, you'll figure it out. Sometimes life takes you to another area, but you're going to figure it out. You just keep pushing forward. So I know a lot of people, Gerds, get stuck in that mindset of, I can't believe, I'm living in this house and I'm working in this job and, is this it? Is this my life? It's not. That's not it.
Yeah.
That's not it.
And what I would say with what I was talking about is it changes a little bit of a vibration. It invites new things in as well. And it actually can invite in success and change your mindset. So the disciplines and the routines and the good habits that you can then form, you would be surprised the impact that has on other parts of your life. The opportunities that you then, and I know this is sort of a little bit deep, but like it changes the vibration. Yeah, and I found once you start changing the vibration of who you attract into your life and what you bring into your life through the good habits and the way that you feel, good things come. It actually happens, and you get that abundance mindset, and you live more sort of day to day. You try not to, you have more control over things that you're actually thinking about by doing, like whether it be meditation or little breathwork sessions, and controlling those parts of your life. When you get anxious, how you handle anxiety. I've got a tool for that. Okay, so all of a sudden you take those, anxiety and different things like that out of your life, and then you watch what starts coming in.
Yeah, I think
powerful.
There's so many things out there, like where people talk about, you can add this to your life and that'll make it better, and do this, add this. I always think of it from another point of view as stripping things away. Strip things away. All right, don't need that friendship. Like, that's a toxic one. All right, don't need that either. All right, fizzy drinks. Oh, don't need that. Alcohol.
Yeah. You just call them fizzy drinks?
Yeah, fizzy drinks, yeah. Like things, all the things, like takeaways, all the things.
Jandals.
Yeah, jandals. Chili bin.
Chili bin, that's nice.
But, and even like things in your house, clutter in your house, just all these things that start to stress you out, you just taking them out. And I think when you strip back stuff, it can just give you a little bit more clarity and a little bit more peace.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
I've got 3 cars at the moment. I need to sell one.
What do you got 3 cars for?
Well, I had 2 and then I got a work one. And so I've got 3 cars clogging up the driveway, and that stresses me out. Yeah. I'm like, you know what? I need to sell one.
Do something about it.
Yeah. You need to get rid of one.
Did you have a breathing technique there, Gers, that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah. So a few people have reached out over the last couple of weeks and said, they want to start their breathing journey, which is great. Keep doing it. And I've responded to most of them. But I thought I'd just take through, like, when I first started my journey, and it's pretty common. A lot of people know about box breathing. You guys ever heard of box breathing? A lot of people have heard about box breathing, where it's essentially, you breathe in for a certain amount of time all through the nose, then you hold for a certain amount of time, then you breathe out, and then you hold. So it forms like a little box. And it's a great thing to do, as well as, and I spoke about it, I think, one of the early episodes, about conscious nose breathing and just slowing everything down and actually understanding how you're breathing and how long your breath it takes, like for the in and the out, as opposed to the shallow mouth breathing. So they're things you can do for an awareness, but I'll take you through a little box breathing thing. So it's basically, and we'll do it on about 4 seconds. So depending on how you handle carbon dioxide, you can go to 8 or 9 seconds. Once you sort of start doing it every couple of weeks, you can maybe move up a couple of seconds and draw that box just a little bit further out, a bit bigger. But you can start with like 3 or 4 seconds. So it's basically just in the nose for, let's do 4 seconds. So it's holding for 4, exhaling for 4, holding for 4. And just do that for about 2 minutes. So maybe do that.
Should I close my eyes?
You can close your eyes. Yeah. Yeah. Don't close your eyes if you're driving.
Oh,
because I do that when I'm driving. Like if you go into a meeting, if you go in a, if you're in a situation that you're going to feel uncomfortable, or something's going on with the kids or whatever, just do box breathing and maybe do that 10 times. Yeah. And then you'll just find that it'll just settle you down a little bit, calm you down a little bit. So it's a good little tool to take in the toolkit.
Yeah. Talking about driving, I almost had to walk here this morning.
Well, you got 3 cars.
Yeah.
What happened?
I woke up this morning and I was running around the house. Where's my keys? I was thinking, kids are taking the keys. They're hiding the keys on me. I'm looking everywhere, upstairs, downstairs, looking in the garden, can't find them. Running around, I'm thinking, oh, no way, surely not. So I walked out onto the road, cars parked there. Looked in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
They're sitting on the passenger seat, my keys.
Yeah.
Just for someone to come along, open the door, jump in.
Not in your neighbourhood, surely. The neighbours wouldn't take the car.
What's going on with the brain there?
Yeah.
It's not working well, is it?
Hey, you're just present. It's good. Stuff like that is actually really good. Yeah, I lose my keys and stuff all the time because it's really not important where my keys are.
Except when I need to drive to
go
work.
somewhere, then it becomes an issue. But I do stuff like that all the time. Yeah. So that's not a bad thing. What else we got?
Jared C33 on the Instagram. How do you guys find time for yourselves without feeling guilty?
It's probably hard with kids, I reckon. Like sometimes I feel like you might be out there to do something for yourself and you just maybe get that guilt of you should really just be at home with the kids. But then if you always think like that, you'll never get anything done. So it's just finding that balance, I think. I'm probably at that point where just trying to juggle being present at home. So making that time count. But also if you've got let's say if I'm going for my walk in the morning and your partner's quite positive about you doing it, you're going to enjoy it more than if they weren't positive about it. That's when it's probably you'll feel that guilt more. So having that communication with your partner about, all right, this is my time. I'm going to go do this. And then when I come back and then you're going to go and do that for you, then you really enjoy that time. I think that's quite important there. And obviously it comes down to communication.
Yeah, I would say that it's important if you take that time for yourself that you do something productive with it. So don't go to the pub, don't go to the TAB, don't sit on your phone and scroll. Like actually, and I go back to the philosophy of, filling your cup up and letting it spill over. And how you fill your cup up is by being productive and doing things that are actually going to help you be better for the people that are around you.
Yeah. And
that's a great sell as well to the family. It's like, I can't give you what you need unless I am who I need to be and I'm on my journey. So just making sure that you do look after yourself and that, you're productive with the time that you're taking away from our busy lives to get yourself in a better space to then go back into that and immerse yourself back into that and then you'll be able to give more.
Yeah, but guys, like going out playing golf for a couple of hours, is that taking the piss?
Well, I don't like golf, but I'll go surfing for a couple of hours.
Yeah,
and if golf to some is like surfing to me, and I come back and it's like I feel rejuvenated, refreshed, connected in.
Yeah.
Not that you're going surfing at Noosa is relaxing by any means. There's like 1,000 people out there all trying to do the same thing, but in an angry way, right?
Yeah.
Like we all go out there to chill and it's the vibe and it's in the water.
Yeah, is there a lot of abuse out there?
Oh, it's super competitive,
You're dropping in on people,
I'm burning people, but I like that was my attitude when I first came up from Sydney because Sydney is dog eat dog.
Is it?
It is like, it's brutal, but I'm definitely a lot more chilled in the water after a couple of years up in Noosa than I was when I first got here, 100%. But like if you go out there, it's really difficult actually to get that balance right because if you go out there and you're the nicest person in the water, you just get walked all over.
Yeah.
But if you go out there and you're burning everyone, you have a bad experience because there's it's conflict. So it's just finding the balance of, being, I don't know, in the right headspace out there to make sure that you can enjoy and you can actually get a result out of the reason that you're out there, which is to relax. And
do you guys talk to each other out there?
Sometimes you do, yeah.
You're not having like big chats like
there was last time I was out there was this she was about 12 little girl and I didn't know if she could surf or not, but I'd been sort of there's kind of these unwritten rules in the surf and I was in the spot, like I'd been waiting and I got to the spot and she jumped off the rocks and sort of paddled to my inside and I'm thinking, oh, okay. And then I'd waited about 20 minutes to get there, to get to the spot. So the next set that was coming, and it was decent waves, was kind of mine. And anyway, so she paddled for it. And then I just let her go, and I was like, okay, I'm a nice person. She's a young girl. She's gone, and she missed it, right? She fell off the back, and I'm like, oh, my God. Oh, my God, she's missed it. But then what she did, she paddled back to the inside again, and then the next wave came, and she did it again.
Oh,
and
now you got to say something.
And she fell off the back. And then I went, oh, okay, all right. So then the next one was coming, and I said to her, hey, this one's mine. And she gave me this filthy look, right? I'm like, well, you've had 2 chances.
Yeah.
So I went inside and I took the next one. And then it's a pretty long wave at Noosa. I was at the boiling pot there. And I'm about a couple of meters in after my wave. And then I see her get the wave behind me, and she's like doing airs and all these sort of
Oh,
turns.
really?
The whole bit. She could really surf, yeah. But yeah, I had to say something at some point. But anyway, mate, I'm out there bullying 12-year-old girls. So.
Yeah, you get that. I'd say there'd be some partners out there would think, yeah, going out for a couple of hours is maybe taking it overboard, the golf, the surfing.
Yeah. Oh, maybe. Yeah. Maybe. But yeah, just being really productive with the time you use when you're on your own. What are you actually doing with it? You know, how can you be, how can you give more when you return to the environment that's asking so much of you? Should we close out the year, Benny?
Yeah.
Because we're not going to be back because finals, our schedules don't allow. So there might be some stuff coming through in the off-season. We're not too sure yet. We're working that out. Let us know what you think. If there's more you'd like to hear from us, that'd be great. So, Dan and Prue, thanks for the use of the studio and coming and doing all the work behind the scenes on the podcast for the first year. We really enjoyed having you guys around and involved. And you, brother, mate, it's been a great year.
Yeah, it's been good getting this going really quick. Obviously, we've got to spend the rest of the day together now. So
Yeah.
We're doing a lot of talking today.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, isn't there? Yeah. It was a bit of I had my family come down last night and stay out just out of the blue because I did the Friday game. You know, they said, "Oh, Dad, we're just going to come down because it's my oldest one's birthday and she wants to come into the big smoke and go shopping, as opposed to up at the sunny coast where it's pretty limited with some of the stuff." Oh well, I think there's a big plaza up there. I haven't really been there, but. So the girls are down as well, and then there's Brisbane Firecracker Night. What is it called?
You're going to keep that in there. Brisbane Firecracker Night.
What is it?
River Fire, yeah.
River Fire, yeah. That's what we used to have, firecrackers.
Oh, mate.
We used to chase each other around with firecrackers back in the day. You
South,
guys missed
New
all
South
that,
Welshman coming up here, just
dropping
in on 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
Firecracker Night. Yeah, it's good.
Been a good little end of the season for us. So thanks for listening and thanks for watching, and have a great summer. Anything that you guys want to finish up with?
I just wanted to say thank you to you guys. I think that this podcast has been a lot of fun to work on for both myself and Prue, and thank you for bringing it to the people. As a listener myself, it's been fantastic. So, and I'm sure all the people out there are super keen to hear what's in store in the future for the medicine with Girdler Ben Te'o as well. So, guys, the best way you can support the show is to share it with your friends, subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and to leave those 5-star reviews. But keep an eye on our socials, and we'll keep you updated with the plans for the medicine.